People have been asking me to check out Gina Carano. Apparently, she's a big deal when it comes to MMA fighting, I believe. And she got fired from Disney not too long ago. And it was some BS. So this is me trying to learn a little bit more about this young lady and see what she's about. All I see is a big, attractive woman. That's all I see. So let's dive into it, and y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know a little later so we can have a conversation.
So in the middle of this, obviously, we here at Daily Wire had been foraying into the film industry. We had released our first film a little bit earlier this year, Run, Hide, Fight. Our audience really loved it. And when we saw that you were trending, my business partner, Jeremy, and I, we thought, the first thing we thought was, number one, somebody should reach out to Gina because she's getting maligned unfairly. But number two, we should reach out to Gina because this is an opportunity for conservatives and people who think differently to say to Hollywood that you're not allowed to just cancel whomever you want. And I mean, I have to say that I was amazed at how readily you were willing to jump into a project with derelicts like us and willing to get involved in one of our projects because it is a unique thing. I mean, in Hollywood, typically the advice is keep your head down, make an apology. Maybe in 3-4 years, you can sort of wheedle your way back into the industry, but you didn't do any of that. You were basically ready to go from the moment I gave you a call. I wanted to get your perspective on that.
Well, because, in my newfound, finding my political voice, you're actually one of the people I found, as well as a bunch of, your book was the first one I read. And it just really kind of, it was so simple that it really kind of explained like the events in such a good way. To where it was like, it just felt logical. It felt logical. So I'm obviously like so excited that you called. I was prepared to at any point get let go because I've seen this happen to so many people.
I think it's wild, and I think it's dope too that she's so humble. That this movie star, this professional fighter, and well known around the world person, young lady, model, and all of those things is so giddy, and seems like she's a huge fan of Ben Shapiro and Daily Wire. So I think she did a movie with them or something like that. So I think that's so cool that she's this humble after all that success. Okay.
I've seen the looks on their faces. I've seen the bullying that takes place. They've quit Twitter, they've quit speaking. They show up to their red carpets and they're depressed and they're sad and there's hearts there. And I was like, you're coming for me. I know you are. They're making it very obvious through their employees that were coming for me. And so I was like, well, then I'm gonna go down swinging then. And I'm gonna stay true to myself and I'm gonna let that speak. And I think that's speaking. So when you called, I'm still like, my body still is shaking, it's still devastating. But the thought of this happening to anybody else, especially like somebody who could not handle this the way I can, no, they don't get to do that.
What in the world is happening in Hollywood, man? What's going on? What am I missing? I thought that was like the ultimate place where every content creator hope to be one day. Like one day I will be so known that I will be offered or afforded an opportunity to work in Hollywood alongside the greats, the people that are on the big screen or the huge billboards when I go into different states. That's what I thought. But are they this catty? Are they this petty? Like, what's going on in Hollywood, man? Y'all gotta let me know something because it's the way she's talking about it is almost like they are like the mafia over there. Like when they're ready to get rid of you, they get rid of you. And she clearly said that when other superstars go through these things, they still, get all prettied up and dressed up and stuff, come to the red carpets and they're all sad and even if they're going through the fire at that point because they're doing anything, they'll do anything to be a part of the whole Hollywood machine. But she said, nah, I'm just going to go out swinging. And that's exactly what she did. So I think that's the big reason why she's so enamored by Ben Shapiro for what they offered her over there, because I think that's dope that they offered her another opportunity and she ran with it.
They don't get to make people feel like that. And if I buckle, then little girls and little boys who are not getting any like they're not getting a good fair shake at growing up right now. If I buckle, it's going to make it okay for these companies who have a history of lying to beeline and to do this to other people, and they've done it to other people, and I'm not going
Wow.
down without a fight.
Well, we couldn't be more excited to be working with you, obviously, and you can see that the left is creating a whole new cottage industry for us, because as they keep canceling people for no good reason, we are perfectly happy to work with talented people of every stripe, especially after the left decides that they are terrible by dint of having differing points of view. So I want to backtrack here a little bit and talk about how you even got into acting in the first place, because
Hold on, Ben, and I hate to cut you off, man, but I want to know what she did to become a target in Hollywood. What'd she say? Was it such a big deal? Please, somebody can let me know that part, because people are so damn petty nowadays that if you don't have you don't adopt their same ideology about something, then they want to get rid of you. What did she say that was so horrible that they wanted to just get rid of her? Please let me know that part.
you have the most unique acting story that I know of. I mean, you started by hitting people in the face. So why don't we start? Why don't we start with that? Like, how did when people think actress, typically they don't think a person who used to be an MMA fighter. So first, and when they think MMA fighter, they don't tend to think female generally. So you were the first big female MMA star in America. How did you get into MMA? That's sort of a unique career path.
Oh, well, definitely not by my family's approval. My my family actually did everything they could to make sure that first sanctioned fight in Las Vegas for a female women's MMA match did not happen. And and so I was having to go through all these extra tests, and I found out like who I love so much, my Papa Don, who passed away, and my dad, who's still around, had called the athletic commission, and my dad used to serve on the athletic commission, so they were,
Oh, wow.
so I was going through some extra tests because he did not want me to be a fighter. They wanted me to, really go to school and become a doctor, a lawyer, and my family's the type of family on both sides. You're not getting you're not getting anything for free. You earn your keep, you're responsible, and you get out there and you work. And so I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. And I don't.
Please don't ever be that to your children. If your children have a dream, please don't ever be that no, I'm gonna do what I gotta do to try to block what you want to do in life. Their dream is not yours. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're absolutely correct in their dream. And once you show support, you'll be surprised what comes of it. So, I mean, I'm just talking to the people out there who might consider what her parents were trying to do out of love. They were trying to do it out of love, but they still did it nonetheless. And I think it's important that we show 100% support to especially our children, because this world is already hard enough, and they want them to be just to be on a status quo. Like, if you're not like everybody else, then we're getting rid of you. So we don't want to do that in our own households. That's all I wanted to say about that part.
And so I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. And I don't like money being hung over my head ever. So this is just fighting was just something that spoke to me, like it just made me want to get in the gym. It made me, I was good at it. I've been in fights so many times in Las Vegas anyways, never that I started. I was always like defending people. It's like, I am able to walk away from a fight, but when I realize it has something to do with somebody else, and I have there's this hot blood that goes through
You're a
me,
superhero.
then,
That's what you are.
and
Superhero.
things happen. But so yeah, I just started fighting, and I loved it. It's like all of the bad things I was doing, and I've had friends shot in the head and left in the desert. I have been
Oh
stabbed
my
in the head
God.
and left in the desert in Las Vegas. Overdoses and the whole story of like this tragic thing. And I was like, okay, why don't you just try try to give life a chance. And I started training and fighting, and it just became my new addiction. And from the moment I started doing it, everybody was pointing a camera at me. I was like, I'm actually extremely shy. I'm actually like, it's hard for me, performing or talking and having things. But I think I'm getting a little bit better at it.
I can tell that she's shy, but she's doing an excellent job. She's doing a very good job. Yeah.
So I will admit, although you probably couldn't tell, being that I am such an Adonis-like figure, I mean, such an amazing Greek god of masculine power, I'm not a person who's done a lot of fighting. As you maybe you might have guessed that. I don't know.
No, you never know.
Yeah, no. Most people have picked up on that. In any case, what is it like to be a professional fighter? What is it like? That's always been fascinating to me because as somebody who, went to Jewish day school and basically fights consisted of people, randomly wailing on each other without any sort of real form or. Let's put it this way: no one from my Jewish day school ended up as a professional fighter. So, what is it like being a professional fighter? What's it like walking into a ring and knowing that you have to beat the hell out of somebody else in order to win?
Well, I think it starts in walking into a gym. And the most beautiful thing about walking into a mixed martial arts gym is it doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are, if you're a cop or if you're not, it doesn't matter who you are. You get into that gym and you start training together, and it's everybody in that gym. And, you get humbled every single day. And then you learn how to be a part of a team. And then you start taking care of each other. And then you start seeing, you see all the weaknesses of the ego flare-ups. And then wait, okay, so, you really have to balance your ego in an MMA gym. Because if your ego gets ahead of you, that's a weakness. So I love that. I love genuine and I love real human beings. And so that was a place of everybody in this, everybody belongs here. And the fighting part, that was hard. But there's nothing like facing a fear, and it's very intimate. It's I'm attracted to intimacy as well. So when you look across a ring and you're looking at that person's eyes, this is all about to get very real, and it's only going to be me and you, and there's going to be a genuine interaction.
Man, I can't listen. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Call me a punk if you want, but ain't no way in the world I'm standing inside of a ring with this young lady, and she looking at me like she's ready to daggone interact, looking at me like, man, we're about to be one. We're about to do a dance here. But she's really over there planning to whoop my ass. No, sir, not at all, not at all. Or I'd be looking at her like, man, she kind of cute, and she looking at me like I'm about to whoop his ass. Nah, but I get what she's saying though. This is dope.
And I crave those kinds of things. That was addicting to me.
Did you have to learn to take a punch? I mean, how does that work? As somebody who has full-time security, I will never have to deal with this. So.
I don't know. I just since I had been in fights growing up, I have an incredible chin. I'm my nose. I think it takes if I bleed, I'm hurting because I'm not a bleeder, and my chin is just good. So I have this special little talent that I have. I hit pretty hard, and I've been very complimented on how hard I can hit. And so I became addicted to it, and I still have a little bit of an addiction to it.
Do you still do
Wow.
MMA in your
My whole garage is the whole life. I have so many friends that are fighters, and they're so real. You point a camera at them, and it's effortless because they haven't sold themselves. They haven't sold themselves. They own themselves, and they know that they're going to take themselves into battle against another person, and I like that as well. Being a part of Hollywood, people are stabbing you in the back left and right, and people are willing to cut your throat just to get another job, and you're like, whoa, I've never been that way. I'm never gonna. Actually, I've when I did American Gladiators, we were doing the jousting thing, and I took down this girl, the bigger girl. I took her down, and it was her dream to be American Gladiator, right? Like she wanted to be an American Gladiator. And like I took her down in like 2 shots and like, then she ran to the bathroom and started crying. And I realized at the moment, I was like, oh my, I am not going to take this job away from her. Like we're doing tryouts right now. And I just knocked her off of that. And I'm not really super passionate about being like put in spandex anyways. So I was like, and so like I kind of just like exited like the tryouts and I jumped in my Impala and I was driving back to Vegas from LA and the producers were calling me up and they always, I keep in touch with them sometimes and they're like, aren't you glad we made you do that? But like, and I finally picked up and the producer was like, he was like, Gina, please come back. And I was like, no, man, like, I'm not about to take that job away from that woman. She wants to be there. I don't care if I'm there. I'm not going to cut. And they're like, what? Helga? No, we love her. And I was like, okay, but I still don't really want to do it.
She's a good person, man. I like good people. I like good people. She's willing to give up her own opportunities for someone else. Wow. She's a good person, man. Yeah. Kudos to her, bro. I'm glad I checked her out.
And it took them 4 phone calls in order for me to like, I showed up the day of filming and they hadn't even gotten an outfit for me. And I showed up and like, they ended up using me for almost everything, like physical, like the wrestling and the pyramid and everything. Because, just because you got muscles doesn't mean you be so athletic. So it was such a fun job and I'm glad I did it.
So what is your sort of daily workout regimen like now?
Well, for the last week, it was a little bit of crying in bed. I mean, I do want people to know that, this has not been easy. And I think, I'm a human being. I have so much to learn and grow. And I am deeply understanding. It's like the curtains got pulled. And I'm seeing so much. And so that's been a very large realization. So I do think when this does happen to people, it's like, being canceled might become trendy one day. But don't think that when it happens to you, it's going to be easy because it's not. It's going to be maybe possibly one of the hardest things that you've ever been through. But I think, each day that goes by, you kind of stand up and you find your legs again and you stop feeling sorry for yourself and you show up.
What is all involved in being canceled? Because people talk about it all the time and I haven't a clue. I'm not afraid of the whole idea of cancel culture. Give a damn about that, be honest with you. But I do want to know what it involves. Like, what is it? Like, I get it. They try to find whatever way possible to strip you of your ability to make money. And usually that's online. And you probably get shadow banned or whatever. But is that cancel culture? I mean, is that being canceled? Because her particularly, she worked for Hollywood. We already know what type of conglomerate that is. So her being blackballed, probably not hired by anyone in Hollywood anymore for any jobs. Like, what does it all mean, man? I really would like to know that.
You show up to an awesome opportunity with people who want you to sit at their table, I think it was Nina Simone that said something along the lines of, you need to understand when love is no longer being served at the table. So you need to understand when to leave.
Wow.
And,
wow, that's heavy. I like that.
Okay, I'm not going to shove myself down anybody's throats.
Awesome.
We disagreed. It didn't go well. 2020 was a very emotional year for a lot of people. Okay, I'll get up and find another table and hopefully invite more people to that table because I'm about love and real, true diversity.
What was it like to move from MMA into Hollywood? How did that transition actually happen?
So moving from LA to Hollywood, I had just lost the biggest fight of my life, which that was another time where I was kind of feeling like staying in bed for a week.
There was some controversy around that fight, no? With regard to the person who you were fighting?
Oh, Cyborg? Are you talking about steroids?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not my job to go pointing the fingers at her. So I take the loss. I'll take it on the chin. I'll take the loss. Because what happened to me the next week was kind of similar to this situation. Like, you showed up when I needed somebody, when I was in just hurt mode.
Cyborg is the transgender, correct? No? If it's not, forget about it. But are they saying the person that beat her was a man naturally and was newly identified as a woman? The whole thing that people are doing nowadays.
When I needed somebody, when I was in just hurt mode. And when I was in hurt mode, Steven Soderbergh showed up, who I didn't know that was at the time. And he said, you know, they like, oh, you know, Steven Soderbergh wants to have a conversation with you. And I'm like, who's that? And then we had a beautiful conversation, and he said, okay, well, is this going to happen really quick or not at all? And it happened. And then I found something tricky and new, because being an athlete, it's like you always have to be yourself out in front of everybody. And I've always been really attracted to art, because I think art really does change the world. You know, I love art. I love putting out things where it's like, think about it, and everybody sees it differently. That's my favorite. Everybody feels it differently, and everybody finds different movies and shows and art, and like they find them at different points in their life, and it's their expression of who they are. And I love that. And so here's my opportunity, because I cannot paint. And, you know, like, so I found an art that I dove into. And yeah, that's not been easy. Sometimes I think, God, it was a little bit easier getting punched in the face. At least you didn't see the knife coming through your back.
Thank you.
All right, so that was pretty cool, man. I enjoyed watching that. Hopefully you did as well. Just getting to know Gina Carano, and I still would love to know what she did exactly to be canceled, so to speak. And but she seemed like a extremely genuine woman, man. And even when she had the opportunity to throw shots at other people, she still didn't. Wow, her character is A+, absolutely, A1, absolutely. But per usual, man, I want to hear what you all have to say about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and hopefully inside the Patreon as well. You all have been amazing per usual, man. Love y'all.